what do you think is going to happen? Crawford had the meeting with Good, but all we have is a picture. But that's what they're trying to build up. So, what do you guys have an opinion on that?
So I think it's obvious that what Crawford is rubbing his hands about. They want that Roach smoke. And then on as far as Roach is concerned, I just don't get how are you number 3? Like, if you look at his resume, who did he beat? Who did you beat to be number 3, sir? Like, come on, man. Like, all them dudes that said walks away, you ain't beat not one of those dudes. Stop it, man. Like, come on, man. Like, you see this dude, he hit that dude because he little and he old and he dang on stiff. But he not gonna knock out any like tough welterweight. No, sirree, Bob, he's not. And he got smoked by Rashidi. Like, any dude that has like a little quickness about him, a little movement, he's like a C+ level fighter. That's what he is. And again, as you stated, that's the type of fighter that Bud loves. You want him a nice little C+, now don't no B- now. Yeah, that might be a little too much. You know what I mean? Give me a C+ or below. That's in my contract. So like I said, he checks off all of the boxes for Bud. You understand what I'm saying? If you look at his reach, got little arms. You know what I'm saying? This is horrible, man. Like, this dude, man, like, this Bud Crawford guy, he just does everything that's what's wrong with the sport of boxing. I'm talking about blatantly, though. It ain't even like he's not even masking any of this stuff, But with that being said, I think that that's the direction that they're going to move now. It could be a situation where, he didn't meet with him for nothing, It'll be mutually good for Golden Boy because they already got Ortiz, they got Rocha, they got Kai. I wouldn't even be surprised if Bud take Kai. Like, that might be a fight that he take as well. You know what I mean? Because De La Hoya did say this. He said that he would set up fights leading up to the Spence fight. That right there is nutty, man. That's nuttier than 2 cashews, bro. Like, ain't no wait no more for the Spence fight. You know what I'm saying? Like, either y'all gonna do it now or y'all not you're gonna lose even more luster for the fight. Like, people just gonna really put a fork in, like, I'm done with, and they don't say they're done with both of them, even though it's not really Spence's fault. This dude is, sneaking around different companies and stuff like that, leaving negotiations and things. But they gonna really be done with that fight if he sit up there, if he signed with them. And it contradicts what he talking about being his own boss. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything, it just doesn't make any sense. Dude, 35 years old. Man, this is horrible news, man. But anyway, he could be fighting one of those guys. So based on, because De La Hoya said this huge news or huge something he said, but it could be that if he's talking about setting him up some fights, I know he's not just going to throw him in there with Ortiz like right now. He would have him fight either Cobb, Rocha, and then he's going to probably put him in against Ortiz. That's what I think is going to happen.
I think it depends on what type of deal they sign. So I do think the obvious option would be the winner of the Ortiz Stanionis fight, and then the Smith fight. After that fight gets taken care of, then
for who?
For Terence Crawford, I believe it.
You think Terence Crawford will fight Stanionis? He might fight Stanionis. Man, please.
If Ortiz win that fight, I believe he'll fight.
Please, man.
Oscar. I know Oscar. He does all these things. He lies sometimes, but you gotta understand too. Oscar does have a fighter's mind too, and I think why would Oscar put Ryan Garcia in there with Tank Davis? You know what I'm saying? I think that's a bad style matchup for him. So I do think
it's been 2 years though, right? Like,
yeah, but it's happening though. He made that fight happen though. PBC didn't make that fight happen. I think Oscar wanted that fight more than PBC wanted that fight. I do think
that Oscar wanted to fight more than PBC.
I think Oscar wanted that fight for Ryan Garcia more than PBC wanted that fight.
I have no way to measure that, but what I can do is say this: is that
you had your chance, Mr. Hill.
No, man, because you're up here murking up the business, man.
All right, go ahead, man.
Working it up, man. So you saying, and I'm just because this Bud stuff is like it rattles me. It rattles my cage, bro. Like it's no way in the world that man at 35 years of age is gonna sit up here and fight somebody as vicious as Virgil Ortiz at 35 when he's never shown that in his whole career, with the exception of the time he was fighting a guy that ended up knocking out Amir Khan.
He didn't see for Sean Porter.
Dude, you mean to tell me you're gonna say Sean Porter?
Yep. Sean Porter, the Sean Porter that Terence Crawford fought is way more active than the Thurman that Spence is fighting right now.
Listen, man, if you sit up here, but are you gonna like? See, you throwing Spence and Crawford. See, you making that seem that's a false equivalency. Spence wanted Crawford, so he couldn't get Crawford because Crawford then ran off. So now he's fighting somebody. PBC wants him to fight Thurman because that's a big money fight. That's totally different. Again, that's a false equivalency. Bud has never fought. You talking about? So if you sit up here and say Sean Porter, and again, that's what murkies up the whole topic and discussion, and people like stuff that sounds good, but it doesn't really make sense because it's not logical. That's not the same thing. That Sean Porter that fought against Terence Crawford was not the same Sean Porter that fought against Errol Spence, and he will probably tell you that he's been honest.
What, a year later?
His father said he wasn't. His father said that he wasn't the same Sean Porter. So
in that ring for the first half of that fight, that was the same Sean Porter.
No, in that first half of that fight, it was close. That's just what it was. But as far as because the Sean Porter that was fighting against Terence Crawford, he wasn't doing the same things in that fight that he was doing against Errol Spence. Because you could see when they were like having clinches and stuff like that, and he wasn't fighting through those clinches against Errol Spence. He was doing everything that he could to muster up whatever it is that he could to try to win that fight. Against he was being way nicer and stuff like that.
Because he can't out wrestle.
He was doing podcasting. He was in interviews, going to sleep because he was trying to do too much. And his father was saying that.
You can't out wrestle Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford was a high school wrestler. You can't out wrestle somebody like that.
So that's the reason why he wasn't attempting to.
No, he tried. He could. He felt how strong Terence Crawford was physically.
He didn't do that not one time during the fight. I would advise you to go back and check the fight. I would advise you to go back and check the fight and see and look at how aggressive he was in the Thurman fight, in the Danny Garcia fight, especially the Earl Spence fight. And then I want you to see his body language against Crawford. I want you to go back and
because he's never a better fighter than all of them. That's why.
So is that what you're saying?
Yep. He was there with a better fighter than all of them.
And that's the reason why I say the boxing game is just gonna be what it's gonna be, because you got people who just want to like try to win arguments and stuff like that, as opposed to stick with the truth. And the truth like the game is just gonna get messed up, and it's just gonna eventually get worse and worse because we're gonna accept this nonsense. And
I'm not saying Oscar gonna make
this
that
nonsense
fight.
that's going on.
Oscar gonna make
you go ahead, so you got it.
No, Oscar gonna make that fight between Crawford and Spence. Back to you, Daddy.
I will say that maybe De La Hoya knows something that we don't. De La Hoya, he's fed us a lot of BS as a promoter, but he said when they interviewed him, he said that Tank and Ryan being made, he said there's 100% chance it's going to be finalized and it's going to go down. And he said that will open up doors to do business with PBC and that he can get Bud the Spence fight. That's what he said. And like, obviously, you know, we got to watch this play out. But I do think that for what it's worth, like behind closed doors and in his heart of hearts, Bud has realized that after all that be my own boss talk, he realized that maybe he is not the best idea to go into these negotiations without anybody to advocate for him. Maybe. That's just speculation, but it may be. If he's, and I say that because he took that, whatever that was, interview, meeting, whatever, I think that maybe that's in the back of his mind. But in terms of, you know, what happens with that, I think it also depends on how much longer Bud plans to fight as a 35-year-old. What Golden Boy may be trying to set up, which is a little bit of what Vel was saying. They may try to set up a mandatory defense, you know, for Bud and Rocha, because Rocha is third and he's only the highest ranked person in line that doesn't have a fight lined up. So they may set that up first.
I don't think I said that part.
You're right. You said some of this. I'm not saying you said that part.
Okay, I said Ortiz.
Right. I'm gonna get there. And so they may set up like, I don't know if it's a 4-fight deal or what, but they may set up that mandatory so Bud can stay active while Spence comes back and fights Thurman. And then maybe they can set up a 2-fight deal with Spence because there'll probably be a rematch clause. And then maybe a fight with Ortiz. In which case Ortiz will probably be that mandatory anyway. And then Bud could, at 37, maybe could ride off into the sunset if he wanted to. So, again, maybe De La Hoya see something that we don't, but I think on Golden Boy's end, if they pull that off, they run the risk of giving all their welterweight stable like a bunch of L's, which is not the worst thing to happen. It would be a good thing for boxing, a bad thing for Golden Boy, but I don't know what the long game will be for Golden Boy. But, I think part of it depends on how much longer Crawford plans to fight. So we'll see. I mean, anybody else have anything else to say on that?
Yeah, I got something to say. The thing is that fighters going to take L's anyway. They only got one that's really legit, and that's Virgil Ortiz. So Blair Cobb, everybody knows as soon as he fights somebody, he's going to get smoked. With Rocha, he's going to get smoked. So why not have Crawford sign with you? If he signs with you, then you can keep the money in-house. So my fighter's going to lose. I would prefer him to lose to somebody who signed with me. And then he's losing to Bud Crawford, so that's okay. You know what I mean? That's, you learn from that, you move on. Everybody has lost to Bud Crawford so far that he's faced. There's no smear in your campaign. Now, as far as what he said, I told Crawford, let us present to you a schedule of fights leading up to Spence. He's 35 years of age. He's about to be 36. So how much further is he going to go? He's already tepid and timid about fighting Spence now. After he gets those fights, I wouldn't be surprised if he just go ahead and hangs him up. You know what I mean? He might have this 2-fight deal with them. They're still talking about possibly he always gloats about the UK. I wouldn't be surprised if a Josh Taylor fight isn't done after that. He does his 2-fight deal with them. He finds some way out of the contract. He's a free agent again. Okay, let me go ahead and get with Eddie. You know what I mean? Get some money over there. Get that UK bread. And then I'm off, right off into the sunset. Because by that time, you're talking about a 2-fight deal. Spence can't make 147 for no 2 dang on fights or no schedule of fights that he's going to have. So that's not going to happen. And if it does happen, it would have to be at 154. By that time, it's going to be a lot of different things that's going on at 154 that it never may transpire, may never take place. But this dude he's hot guard, both of them. You know what I mean? But I respect De La Hoya what it is he's trying to do with his company because it's just business. But at the end of the day, shout out to Anthony Yard. You understand what I'm saying? Dudes like that's sitting up here. Bam Rodriguez. You understand what I'm saying? Shout out to them dudes, man. They don't be making them excuses and doing all this nonsense and silly stuff, and then people got to go ahead and try to, justify their actions. No, they go out there, they get busy. You know what I mean? They go out there and bang it out. And that's
the same Bam Rodriguez that said he was losing.
Shout out to them dudes, man. Shout out to the dudes in the past like Muhammad Ali, Bernard Hopkins, and dudes like that. Shout out to Roy Jones for going up to heavyweight fighting John Ruiz. All of them type of dudes. You ain't got to make no excuse to justify not this nonsense. Shout out to y'all, man.
Last ones at the bar exclusively talks about the sport of boxing.